you, Chair, and I really don't have questions, but I do have a few comments. A few comments that I would like to make. As Senator Tanis pointed out, the budget is $126,700.
I wish it was 126,000, but it's millions.
126 million, I apologize. I wish it was 126,000.
Decimal point error.
126 million, almost $700,000. In 2016, when we decided to reform the Senate, that year our Senate expenses were just under 75 million, $74,572,094. That means that over the last 7 years, the cost of the Senate increased by $52 million. $52 million for 70%. Now, one may wonder if Canadians are getting 70% more out of the Senate than they did in 2016. I was here before 2016, and I'm here now, and I don't think we are getting 70% more services. As a matter of fact, I just texted my administration in my office to see how far behind my claims were for my hotel expenses. Things are not improving. And the increase is not due to the senators, it is due to administration. As Senator Tanis's report highlights, the overall Senate budget increases by 4%, but the expenses for Senator's office will rise by only 0.7%. So it's the administration costs that are rising by 8.6%. The number of senators has not varied a lot over the last few years. There's been a few more appointments now, but they really haven't cost the Senate a whole lot of money yet. The budget for groups, caucuses, Senator's office, have been frozen or gotten small increases in quite a while. The increase in expenses for administration is what drives the increase in costs for the Senate. As indicated in the report, the number of administration positions within the Senate has increased from 372 positions in 2017-18 to 493 positions in the next fiscal year. Now, I think Senator Tanis at the end of his report said that we shouldn't be hiring any more people for a while. I think maybe that should have stopped a few years ago as well, because we've got 200 more people, or 100 more people, 120 more people, and the services are not getting better. Colleagues, the administration has to become much more frugal. Now, I would strongly suggest that our subcommittee on estimates go through a zero-based budget exercise in the next year. We need to go through our budget line by line to make sure that we prioritize properly and that we can get value for our money. We are not getting value for our money. We did this exercise a few years ago, and I know it was a very cumbersome exercise, but it forces each department of the administration to focus and determine what the priorities are. We cannot continue to fund all the nice-to-haves like we have been doing. Canada is going through and will continue to go through a very tough time over the next while, and if ever there is time to lead by example, now would be the time to start leading by example. I do not think our Senate in the last 7 years has led by example. We don't have more senators, our services have not improved, and yet our budget has gone up 70%. I don't know what private organization would get away with what we are asking the public to allow us to do. I am really disturbed by these numbers. I'm thankful for Senator Marshall for pointing some of this out to me personally. I wish she was here, but she unfortunately couldn't be here today, and she certainly regretted that. But colleagues, this has got to stop. Those are my comments, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Platt.
could-
Senator Tanis?
Just a brief response. Thank you for that, Senator Platt, for your observations and some of you being a proxy for some of the comments we would have expected to hear from Senator Marshall. I think that an efficiency review, first of all, let me say that I think the administration does a great job in delivering what we ask them to deliver. And there's no question that the Senate activities have expanded greatly in all kinds of areas over the last number of years. This is, well, we've got 3 activities that are going on right now that are being mandated by the government to us that I covered in the report. And each one of those has an enormous amount of work that has to go through it. We have increased the number of committees that operate. In fact, on this very agenda, we're going to create another one. We have asked our Senate administration to expand, and we have never asked them to stop doing things that we asked them a long time ago that maybe we don't need anymore. So in conjunction with just a pouring over of everybody's job descriptions, I think it would be important as part of this pause to actually ask ourselves, are there things that we could ask the administration to stop doing or do differently that could be more efficient? So an efficiency review, I think, is probably a better name than a zero-based budgeting process. I participated, along with Senator Marshall, in the zero-based budgeting process. It was like a very, very, very long trip to the dentist. And I'd like to see something that involves that, but also gets to the root of some of the costs, which is around things that have always been done a certain way that maybe we could do differently, and we could tie it to a commitment to actually reduce the budget over time as those services or ways of doing things are changed. That is the optimistic view of what I think we could accomplish in the next few months at SEBS, and I know a number of the committee members would be keen to participate in that. That said, the committee has looked through, done their work. A 4% increase is what's being presented. And Senator, I think we're all sensitive to the comments that you've made, and I know Senator Marshall would support a deeper dive, but also a thoughtful dive where we ask the questions. Do we really need to do this? Do we really need to do that? And if we can pick up some efficiencies that will help counter the extra work that not just Senate administration, but all Canadian organizations that fall under the regulations of the Government of Canada are coping with.
Well, thank you for those comments, Senator Tanis. And I would certainly support, and if you want to call it an efficiency review, I'm fine with that as long as the final outcome is that we start being more frugal. You yourself, Senator Tanis, are a successful business person. You wouldn't accept this in your business. I don't believe for one second that you would accept this in your business, and we are asking Canadians to accept it from us. And we are hearing the comments again that we're supposed to go out to Canadians and say, just trust us. We will do better from now on. I think that doing better needs to start now with freezing a whole lot of things, including the hiring of any more people. But thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Senator Platt. Senator Deakin?
Thank you, Chair, and I want to echo Senator Tanis's comments. I look at our organization in the context of the work that I spend my life focused on in this place, and we're a publicly funded monopoly. We don't have an incentive to change, and that's a problem. And I think we've got to recognize that, and start to revisit how we do our business. There's a lot of experienced business folks in this room. And we all know that when a business gets into trouble, it's forced to change. Everything is put on the table, and you're forced to change how you do business in order to survive and thrive. And I would offer that we can't leave senators out of that. We can't leave how we do business in the chamber out of that. We can't leave how we do business in committees out of that. We have to have a good look at how we do things and what we can stop doing, what we can change how we do it, and what we're asking of administration in order to support us. But if we're asking them to continue to support us doing things the same way, then all we can do is ask them to do more with less. And asking them to do more with less is not a way to improve productivity. Changing how we do business is a way to improve productivity. So if we want to become a more productive organization, we've got to revisit and be willing as a group of senators to revisit every rule in this place, every policy in this place. And I, for one, believe that is a very healthy exercise for us to undergo. And I believe when we do that, we can find a huge amount of savings. And we can find a way to improve our productivity overall. Because there's a lot of committed folks in this place that are really, they give of themselves. And I think when we become more productive, everybody will feel more capable of contributing to their full potential. So just, I want to echo your comments. I really was inspired by them. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Deakin.